That probably is the calmest, most peaceful version I've ever heard of Amazing Grace, which I think speaks to the amazing grace of God and how is that calming effect upon all of our lives. And I think that we're seeing that more and more often in our own personal lives, even as we come to worship God. We come to worship in the peace and the joy that God gives to us and the serenity that we have in Christ Jesus because of who He is. And because of who He is, we are something special because of who God is. And God makes a difference in all of our lives. And when we look and we see and we understand the difference that God makes in our lives, we can rejoice in that difference that God makes. We're very, very thankful for the transition, for the transformation of our lives. We're very thankful for the kindness and the mercy and the compassion that God has given to us. While at the same time, though, we must all recognize that we have a responsibility and a charge and a delight also, with the help of God, to see other people from His perspective. And we talked about this morning earlier in the song, "Open my eyes, Lord, that I may see Jesus." And Jesus is also saying to us, open your eyes also that you might see me in other people. Because what I am doing in other people makes them special. And that we have to recognize that we become like a jewel in God's sight. But you see, a jewel in darkness is not much of a jewel. It is in the light that it begins to shine. And when the light of Christ is in our lives, and it sparkles, and the light shines upon us, and we reflect, being the jewels that we are, that light, then we bring a different array of color and light and beauty to the world. And it is with that thought in mind that I have this, I'm going to ask Karen to read this poem that was, I believe, written by one of the pastor's wives in Dallas. But I'll let her just read the poem about being special. And I think for us to reflect upon each other as being special. So here's the poem, and Karen to read it.
Trish Clausen, who's a pastor's wife, as Steve mentioned, in Dallas. You're special. In all the world, there's nobody like you. Since the beginning of time, there has never been another person like you. Nobody has your smile. Nobody has your eyes. Nobody has your hair, your hands, or your voice. You're special. No one can be found who has your handwriting. No one anywhere has your taste for food, clothing, music, or art. No one sees things just as you do. In all the time, there's been no one who laughs like you, no one who cries like you, or what makes you cry or laugh will never produce identical laughter or tears from anybody else ever. You're the only one in all the creation who has your set of abilities. There will always be someone who is better at one of the things you're good at, but no one in the universe can reach the quality of your combination of talents, ideas, abilities, or feelings. Like a room full of musical instruments, so many excel alone, but none can match the symphony sound when all are played together. You are a symphony. Through all of eternity, no one will ever look, talk, walk, or think like you do. You're special. You're rare, and in all rarity, there is great value. Because of your great value, you will need not attempt to imitate anyone. You will accept, yes, celebrate your difference. You're special. And you're beginning to realize it's no accident that you're special. You're beginning to see that God made you special for a purpose. He must have a job for you that no one else can do as well as you can. Out of the billions of applicants, only one is qualified. Only one has the right combination of what it takes. That one is you, because you're special.
And indeed, brethren, we are special. And we're really special when we let God light up our life. And when we begin to see other people as God lighting up their lives. And sometimes we kind of want to cloak the light that God would reflect out of us. So today we want to talk about the light of our lives. We're going to talk about what Jesus tells us and who He is and how that changes our life in such a wonderful and dramatic way. This is from John chapter 1, beginning here in verse 5 through verse 12. We find this written by John, who saw Jesus as truly the light of the world. And John, by the way, who saw Jesus differently than Peter did. And James. They all saw Him as a Messiah. But nobody saw Jesus like John saw Jesus. And nobody sees Jesus like you see Jesus. But Jesus is also at the same time saying in those differences, I want you to see me for who I am. And I want you to light up like I intended you to light up. And for the whole purpose for which I have created you. So we begin here in John chapter 1 and verse 4. In Him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. And there came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light, the true light that gives light to every man who comes into the world. He was in the world, and through the world, though the world was made through Him, the world did not recognize Him. He came to that which was His own, but His own did not receive Him. Yet to all who received Him, to those who believed in His name, He gave the right to become children of God. Do we have the eyes to see what God has done and is doing, and how the light has impacted our life? Because Jesus not only was light, He is life. Notice what it says there in verse 4. Not only is He light, but He is life. And in this light, or in light that God gives to us, we find that truly we have life. And I hope today to encourage us to allow that life that Christ has given to us, the enlightenment that He has given to us, to truly light up our lives, to put that glow on your face, that sparkle in your eyes. And as several of the songs that we sang today spoke about coming from the soul, coming from the very heart of us, that we are lit up inside, and it comes out of our eyes, it comes out of the things that we do, our expressions, and how not only we feel about what God is doing in our life and how God has treated us, but also how we treat others. It's a light that shines in darkness. Now, brethren, we have to recognize that we do live. While in this light, we live in a world of darkness. And we're called to come out of the darkness. And we're called to be different in a dark world. And oftentimes we kind of let our light dim in a dark world. And that is not what God has called us to. But Jesus was a light that shined in darkness. But He was a light that was, as it says in the King James, that the world did not comprehend it. That is true. Both in the sense that the world does not comprehend who He is and what He is doing any more than we fully comprehend. And Jeanette alluded to the Apostle Paul's writing, that we see through a glass darkly, but there's coming a day when we're going to see more fully. And we read from the book of Revelation about that day when we see more fully, and that He is the light of our life in the fullness of that.
Feeling the blues today, or tired of life already? Do you have questions about life or need spiritual advice? We can help. Log on to worldwidechurchofgod.com or wcgfairfield.blogspot.com and stay connected to reality. The The Worldwide Church of God in Fairfield, Santa Rosa, and Modesto are located in the San Francisco Bay Area, regarded as the most prosperous region in the United States. We believe Jesus Christ when he proclaimed in Matthew 6:24 that serving God is more important than serving mammon. We welcome everyone to come and worship and fellowship every Saturday at the times listed on your screen and on our website, worldwidechurchofgod.com.